Welcome to Nasdaq TradeTalks. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq. Joining us at the MarketSite studio in Times Square, New York City, we have Todd Groth. He's the head of index research at Coindesk to discuss the performance in Bitcoin. We'll also talk about altcoins as well as the institutional moves in the digital asset space. Todd, it's great to have you with us. Welcome to Trade Talks.
Thanks, Jill. Thanks for having me.
Busy news week for you, and clearly we've seen the impact on Bitcoin.
Yes.
You know, it's up quite a bit
since
in the past 24 hours, that's for sure.
24 hours, and even more than that, the last week, ever since the news of the BlackRock filing for the spot ETF. The spot ETF really showing a way forward, perhaps, to get a crypto spot ETF into the U.S. market. That's really been one of the catalysts, as well as EDX news today, about having institutional only backed crypto exchange, backed by Charles Schwab, by Citadel as well, by Fidelity, having these big names showing an ongoing interest despite what we've had over the last month or two of news flow. Still a lot of institutional interest in the space.
Let's talk about Grayscale's GBTC Trust, right? I feel like that was the first name that was synonymous with putting a Bitcoin package together, if you will. They've been trying to convert that trust into an ETF for a number of years now. How come that can't get done, and perhaps BlackRock could?
So I think the one thing about the BlackRock filing is using Nasdaq as a market surveillance source, which then helps alleviate some of the SEC's concern about market manipulation. That wasn't in the previous filings we're seeing, and it looks like the market is viewing that market surveillance key to the spot ETF adoption. To that end, we're actually seeing GBTC, the price relative to NAV, starting to converge towards NAV. It's still something like 30% discount, but the last few days we've seen a pretty significant move towards NAV, as it's viewed that this is sort of the magic unlock to get to a spot ETF. And
if I remember correctly, Coindesk, you guys were the one that noticed that Nasdaq language was in there when you went through the filing. So it's great to have you on to be able to discuss that firsthand. What about altcoins? They really haven't recovered as much.
They have not. That first week in June, with both the SEC's action against Binance and then Coinbase, with listing I think it was 19 tokens that were considered unregistered securities, that really put a damper on the altcoin space relative to Bitcoin and Ethereum. And with that, we're kind of seeing a bifurcation of the market. There's the Bitcoin and Ethereum, sort of the commodity tokens, if you will, and then there's everything else. And we're even seeing this, it's in the stats of, if you look at Bitcoin dominance, the market cap of Bitcoin relative to the total market cap of crypto, it's up to 50% now, which are levels we haven't seen since May of 2021. So it's really becoming a Bitcoin, Ethereum regulated market, and then everything else.
So that sounds like it could be positive for continued adoption among the institutions.
Yes, absolutely. And with the EDX launch, EDX launch again was a very narrow set of tokens. It's Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash. There might be one or two other ones, but it's a very narrow set. It's not the massive offering of products like you would see on a Coinbase market.
Right. And you know the industry has been clamoring for more regulatory clarity. They want to work within the framework. Do you think with more institutional adoption and the sway that they have over perhaps regulators and legislators that it could push along this framework?
I think so, and I think BlackRock's really going to help in that area. Also, the EDX, the exchange, this is much more of a traditional model where you're separating brokerage from custody. Right. Which a lot of the crypto exchanges have bundled the two together into a platform, where this is much more of a traditional model, the EDX platform, which it seems like the regulators want something that looks and feels much more like a traditional exchange. And I think EDX is the closest we've gotten so far.
Right. I mean, when it comes to custody, we've seen the issues that have been, commingling, sharing funds across different.
What do you do with those assets?
Think about FTX. I mean, that's the best example. So I think even as an investor, I'd be more comfortable understanding what custody looks like, just in general.
100%.
So with more institutional adoption, you need to start thinking about benchmarks here.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly right. And to that end, we had a release earlier today about an offering of sectors. So very much borrowing the GICS framework in equities. We have our own DAX framework and sectors along with that. So we've got currency, digitization, computing, DeFi, and culture and entertainment sectors. And with that, they have their own collection of tokens, and that allows us to do sector-based benchmarking. And we're now working with a direct indexing partner, Truvius, which is a very, they have a traditional finance background in the quantitative investment space and allow for systematic allocations to our sector indices. So they'll be tradable on their platform.
Right. Well, I mean, if you think about it, if you were to get this BlackRock product passed, right? I mean, think about, with all these sectors available, what new products can come in like an ETF-like wrapper.
Exactly, and we've even seen over this year with the whole buzz of AI, we've seen the computing sector outperform during the buzz with AI. So there are certain themes that are expressed through crypto sectors that with our partner Truvius, investors will be able to explore and get exposure to without taking idiosyncratic token by token specific risk, which still has the uncertain regulatory kind of events.
I mean, think about what that means for the advisory business, right? And being able to get their clients within, more diversification within the portfolios there. When they have an actual product to work with, it just makes it so much easier for the advisors to communicate and execute on that strategy.
100%, and also it gives more benchmarking attribution tools, so then you can get a sense of the active managers within these subsectors. Are they actually outperforming, or is it just more of a sector story?
All right, Todd, looking forward to it. Thanks so much for joining us on Trade Talks.
Thanks, Jill.
And thanks for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.